Welcome back to the channel where we dive into the juiciest cross-cultural exchanges and untangle them with a dash of humor and a whole lot of heart. Today, we're embarking on an exciting journey across 2 continents as we explore Black Americans responding to South Africans on the New Orleans Zulu Parade controversy.
Alright, this is my 2 cents about the whole Zulu Parade in New Orleans and the Zulu Nation, the South Africans going back and forth. I'm gonna be 100% honest. First of all, y'all not gonna put us all in the same fucking boat, okay? Them New Orleans niggas is different. They their own people, okay? Alright, so we're not gonna put all Black Americans in this shit, okay? I've never been to New Orleans. I've never been to Bourbon Street. I've never been down there, so I don't even know what the fuck was going on until I actually went and looked. I do know about the Zulu Nation, everything that takes place over there, because I've been trying to appropriate myself with the culture. To see the New Orleans shit, bruh, y'all got to be fucking kidding me. That shit look like a clown show. That shit look like a mockery. That shit like some shit they made y'all do when y'all was in slavery to put on a fucking show for them. That shit ain't appropriate, and I side with the South Africans on this one.
Most of you South Africans are coons. I do not like what you're saying about us. At first, I was with y'all, though. That's crazy. I was with y'all for like 2 seconds. I was like, okay, that might be messed up. But now, I'm on you now. I see what y'all doing. So, I tell you what, if I get 10 likes on this video, I will send out the video that I have. You will get my trolling. You know why? Because I'm a Leo moon and I'm childish. And I'm from the DMV. Cooking and roasting is a sport here. And we didn't even know that the parade existed here. We don't even know. That's something in New Orleans that nobody knew. That's not like a national black thing or nothing like that. Y'all just sit on this one little thing. And now y'all taking it that far. Don't worry about it. Prepare for Diaspora!
Serious question. Are South Africans okay? We've all seen the dialogue going back and forth between South Africans and Black Americans in regards to the Zulu Parade that happens during Mardi Gras in Louisiana. We've all said that culture is practiced by a specific subset of Black people in America, which is exclusive to Louisiana. But I did not think that would be lost enough that you guys will come back and make fun of slavery. Slavery.
Hell nah. My map done grew out.
Do we have, ladies? A fucking clown. We are a stupid bitch. We are a fucking clown.
The craziest part about this video to me is that 1, it's not doing what you intended it to do. 2, you're making fun of all African Americans when we've all told you that only a subset of African Americans in Louisiana practice this Zulu Parade. I hadn't heard of the Zulu Parade 72 hours ago, just like you haven't heard of it. Majority of Black people in America have no idea what the Zulu Parade is. But now you've come with this xenophobic video making fun of our ancestors' journey to America via the slave trade. You're making fun of the rice in the hair, which moms put rice and braided rice into their daughters' hair to give them escape routes. This is funny. Even if you did feel that the Zulu Parade made a mockery of the Zulu people and made a mockery of who you are, and you have every right to do so, to make a video making fun of slavery does not equate you being offended that you feel like your culture is being misrepresented. I fear we have lost the plot completely. This will be the last time I even acknowledge South Africans online, because I feel like they're akin to British people. They hate Americans so much that they are waiting for the opportunity to be xenophobic and to call people dumb. I'm appalled. I never in my life would I think I would see other Black people making fun of Black people for being slaves. Y'all got it.
New Orleans, New Orleans, New Orleans. Y'all done pissed off the South Africans, got them on this internet acting a plump fool. I just saw one of them girls. She stuffed her pants in the back. And I guess that's supposed to be a BBL. And I guess that's supposed to represent the New Orleans people, because they feel like New Orleans is representing them wrong with the Zulu Parade. Makes no sense, but okay. I really don't think the people of New Orleans care, but y'all gotta come together and come to some type of agreement. Somebody need to do something, because y'all doing too much on this internet.
I had a trip planned to go to Johannesburg, South Africa this summer. And I was really excited because the first time I went to South Africa was in 2021. And I absolutely fell in love with Joburg. This summer I was planning to bring my 8-year-old son and take him to all the areas that I found special, like Maboneng, like Soweto. But I have since made the decision to cancel. As someone who's had the privilege to travel around the world, I have gotten on social media for years. And I have told people that the internet is not the totality of a people. It is not the totality of a place. But the comments that I have received about this Zulu parade, the content that people have tagged me to, where people have mocked enslavement, is absolutely deplorable and incomprehensible. The first time I ever stepped foot in South Africa was in Johannesburg in an area called Maboneng. It is Black, it is beautiful, it is creative. I got a chance to go to an open mic night, something that I do when I'm at home, where people were sharing their spoken word, their creative talents, to watch men outside with their cameras taking pictures for people on the street. I felt right at home. And then Soweto. With a place like Soweto that is still deeply subjugated, the people were so beautiful. And one of the most fantastic experiences that I've ever seen. And I felt those young brothers so deeply because that's what my grandfather used to do on street corner. Harmonize with the homies with their heart and soul, no matter what the environment was around them, no matter what it was that they were currently enduring. The music of those brothers in Soweto reminded me of home. I got to go to Constitution Hill and walk through the prison where Nelson Mandela, Mahatma Gandhi, even Winnie Mandela had all been in prison. Dive more deeply and learn about policing in South Africa. And then I got to come here and I learned about Hector Peterson, who on June 16th, 1976 was unalived by police in South Africa. This was as a result of an uprising from Black students, Black youth, who were protesting learning Afrikaans in school versus their native languages. I stood in this circle and I cried for a while. And not simply because of the traumatic experience that this was, but because I know the feeling of what it is to be Black, what it is to make attempts to fight back against establishment, and both the fear and the hurt of being unalived by police in the streets and in our homes. I made a post about the Zulu Parade, letting people know and educating people that Black Americanness is not a monolith, that I just learned about the Zulu Parade last week, and that the segment of Black Americans who celebrate that are in a specific city, in a specific state, and it's very segmented. And in that video even stated where I could see where Zulu people would be offended, but that also most Black Americans are just learning of it as well. I made a follow-up video where I graciously showed how large the United States is and how even being from one state in the United States of America can be causation to have subcultures that are vastly different from each other. The amount of comments that I got from people who were okay with mocking police violence against Black Americans in the United States of America has been absolutely disgusting. I have made many videos across the years celebrating South Africans' resistance, celebrating their resilience, flooding out into the streets for justice for the baby girl Kwekwe. But these comments for me is where I draw a line in the sand. Black Americans haven't gentrified your neighborhood. Black Americans haven't stripped you of your languages. Black Americans haven't created their own towns in your home. Black Americans haven't run you down in the street. And Black Americans have not harmed your children. So this level of response as a result of a parade is repugnant. And I still wish nothing ill of the people of South Africa, but this is it for me.
South Africans are furious about this. There have been several videos going viral of...
See, this is what I'm talking about. We didn't have all this drama about what? 20, 30 years ago. We did not have this drama. Now, look at the irony in this. The Africans are upset at the African Americans of New Orleans. as long as I've been knowing, going to the parades in New Orleans, Zulu Parade, you get the gold coconut. You get a lot of good beads. Now, South Africa has a problem with people of color here in the United States. And I guess they're claiming, what's that called? Cultural appropriation. Bruh, I just don't know, bro. Y'all have to cut all that racist stuff out and tit for tat racism, because this is where it's coming to. A bunch of buffoonery. So now it's bad for people of Louisiana, especially of New Orleans, to have the Zulu Parade. It's like a mockery to them. Bruh. Yeah, our society is crashing out, like in a hole, crashing out. I don't know what to say, but I'm gonna eat this melon.
The image you're looking at here is of the Zulu Parade in New Orleans, a tradition which dates back to between 1909 and 1916. The tradition seems to be based on a skit or comedy which a man called John L. Mortier saw, and which inspired him to create and organize a carnival. The comedy John saw had people in grass skirts wearing makeup, as you're seeing here, and it inspired him to reorganize his marching troupe. With this, Black Americans were allowed to have their own carnival, and this is how the tradition began, because around this time there was a lot of segregation. They were not allowed to celebrate with white people in their carnival, so they said they'll create their own, and this is how the Zulu Parade was born. Now recently, Africans like myself and Zulu people in South Africa have discovered this, and it's causing a lot of controversy and tension between Black Africans and Black Americans, unfortunately, specifically those of New Orleans and specifically those in South Africa of the Zulu ethnic group. Now, have a look at this image and tell me, why do you think exactly the Zulus in South Africa are offended by what they're seeing? If you don't understand why they may be offended, I'll give you an image from a Belgian tradition called Black Pete. Have a look. This is Black Pete, a Belgian tradition where white people paint themselves black and have red lips, afros, and so on. Now, according to them, this is their tradition. It's not meant to be offensive to black people, and it's their way of celebrating Christmas and so on. Now, whether you're Black African or Black American, when you take a look at this, how do you feel? Do you think this is okay? If yes, then fair enough. But if no, then you should understand why the Zulus are offended. Now, for people in New Orleans, I get it. This is your tradition, this is your culture, and it's special to you because you had to build it in such a bad environment. Yeah, your ancestors had to do that in the 1900s. It's just kind of sad, I understand. But that being said, the origin of this was a skit. It's comedy, and you're calling it Zulu, which is offensive to actual Zulu people. Okay, it's a caricature of Africans, grass skirts, all that stuff. That's not right. Okay. That being said, I'm not saying scrap this or get rid of it. No, continue. This is your tradition. This is what your ancestors left you, right? All I'm saying is, if you're gonna call it Zulu, at least do some research on the Zulu culture and show some respect to the Zulu tradition. And not only that, you can also incorporate other traditional African cultures and attires and so on, and have a tweak on it, mixing it with your culture. That's fine. I have no problem with that. All I'm saying is, this is like a caricature, and it was meant to be a caricature because it's based on a skit and comedy, as you can see, as I've said. And if that doesn't work and you don't care, you want to keep everything the way it is, that's totally fine. But just remove the name Zulu, call it something else. Because again, if people appropriated your culture, your names and so on, you wouldn't like that. So why are you going to do that the other way? Let's not be hypocrites. You know what I mean? Let's have respect for each other as black people. I'm a Pan-African. I want people to respect each other as black people. All of us. And I'm seeing disrespect on both sides. It's just heartbreaking for me, man. Honestly. It breaks my heart. But anyway, that's my 2 cents. You guys let me know what you think.
Okay, so apparently we've been in a diaspora war for the past week with the South Africans over a parade that happens in NOLA, New Orleans, that 99% of us have never even heard of. Like, literally, we found out about this parade at the same time that they did. We found out about this shit last week. Nobody that I know has ever heard of a Zulu parade, okay? And what's so diabolical is that I keep scrolling past all of these posts from South Africans and going in on just Black Americans as a collective, not just about the parade. Like, they've taken it to a whole nother level. And it's like, this girl, I'm pretty sure some of y'all seen that, this girl that dressed up like a slave and had cotton and act like, I don't know, some type of knock on slavery or whatever. And then there's these people in the comment section talking about how the police unalive us and all that. Like, just going in on Black Americans as a collective. And it has nothing to do, just outside of the Zulu parade, okay, that we don't know nothing about. So what this tells me is that their beef with us started long before they found out about that Zulu parade. Because you don't go in on somebody like that and start trying to throw low blows at them as a collective unless you didn't like them before. So they didn't like us already. They had beef with us that we didn't know about already. Before the parade, they had beef. But I mean, we should be used to that because everybody seems to have beef with us because, just FYI, that is not Black American culture as a whole. That is Louisiana Creole culture. That is one specific place that is not a national thing. A Zulu parade is not national around the entire United States. That is one place. I see why people call South Africans the Karens of Africa. Because honestly, I think they got Karens beat. Like, South Africans, y'all got Karens beat by a landslide, okay? Y'all got the #1 spot in the Karen level. Or like in the Karen vicinity, y'all are #1. I'm just wondering, like, how the hell did you even find out about the damn parade? What brought you to our side of TikTok anyway? And it's like, it really got me to thinking, like, it's like so many people all around the world, like, they hate on Americans so bad. They hate on Black people in America so fucking bad. But they got their heads stuck so far up our asses that we got to turn corners like a bus. Like, we can't even whip a corner because we got people's heads stuck so far up our ass. We gotta pull all the way out and then turn. But anyways, I'm not about to go in on, because here's the thing, y'all. This is another thing. Black people that we got to understand. We didn't grow up with tribes. We don't do tribalism over here. So that tribalism in Africa is a big deal. They take that shit very seriously. To us, we look at it like, okay, and it's a little Zulu parade in one little city in one part of America that nobody's ever heard of. Like, who cares? But to them, it's a big deal because that's a big part of their identity. So I think at the same time, while I don't respect how they're handling it, at the same time, I do understand that that's just something that we're just never going to understand. We're never going to be able to relate to tribalism because we just don't do that. It's not a big deal. So anyways, that's all I wanted to say. I'm just scrolling. I keep scrolling past more and more posts of South Africans just doing the most diabolical shit. And it's pretty obvious that they did not like us before the Zulu parade.
Good morning, family. So I found myself scrolling and judging this morning, especially when it comes to the situation with this Zulu parade between South Africa and Black Americans, particularly in New Orleans. But somehow they included all of Black Americans, and this is where the problem lies. Regardless of how you feel about the parade, I'm curious to know that why are y'all just saying something? Been posting videos about this parade every damn year on this app. Then on top of that, if you feel some type of way about New Orleans, then you need to address New Orleans. But what y'all did was, or what that little peace bottle head ass bitch did, is she thought it was okay and thought it was funny for her to do a video of her sea walking and then picking cotton. Here's the video right here. So it's one thing for you all to feel some type of way about a Zulu parade. It's another thing for you all to take pleasure in making fun of a very historical and yet triggering period in American culture when it comes to all Black Americans on this soil. Now what's weird about it is that like y'all act as if like none of y'all people is in this country. So you're putting them in danger. I see a lot of young Black Americans who are taking up for it just because they did a little sorry ass Google search. Because around that time, that was the only way that Black people could wear masks in Jim Crow. Weren't even wanted in Mardi Gras, which is one of the reasons why they created it in the first place. So if y'all gonna be speaking up on some shit and y'all gonna be taking sides with another part of the world, then you all need to do more research. This is one of the reasons why Black Americans are so divided as a race of people, because we can't even stand up with each other when it comes to other motherfuckers making fun of shit that harmed all of our ancestors. If y'all had a problem, y'all should have settled that shit with New Orleans. But y'all included everybody in y'all fucking talks. And then we got people from Jamaica, from all other parts of the diaspora, also chiming in. So it goes to show that really, truth be told, y'all have always felt like that. I've always wanted to make fun of us. Y'all come and y'all attack us and talk about how we don't have no culture and talk about how we this and how we that and Shaquisha and this, that, and the other. Y'all try to bully Black Americans because y'all never stepped to a European country. Y'all would never step to anybody else but Black Americans just because y'all think that y'all can. Maybe if y'all would have asked as opposed to told them what the fuck that they need to do, y'all may have gotten a different result. Y'all don't like us like that. And you got people over in Britain, Black people over in Britain who are laughing about the shit too. Y'all think the shit is funny as if y'all motherfuckers wasn't in slavery also. About people getting pew-pew by police officers all because of a situation that has been going on for 100 years and y'all just decided that y'all wanted to press the issue. But fuck y'all. And Black Americans, this is the time that we might need to keep our eyes open and start doing the research and realizing that we are not like them and they are not like us.
You know what, Zulu people? I'll level with you. As someone who's participated in the Zulu Parade, as a child, might I add, I don't have to agree with your sentiments about the parade. I don't have to like what you said to me in my comment sections and in my DMs. I don't have to have a think piece on how you guys seemingly don't understand Mardi Gras culture as a whole in New Orleans. And even though this is not the case, I don't have to like you. But you also don't deserve to be disrespected, and your culture does not deserve to be disrespected. So as someone with direct ties to the Zulu Social Aid and Pleasure Club, which made the Zulu Parade, I'll ask to see what steps can be taken to get the name changed. So that way, whoever sees this, you know that someone over here, from here, is taking a stand for you. I'll keep you updated. So for the past couple of days, I've been seeing South Africans and people from my hometown of New Orleans go back and forth on here about the Zulu Parade for Mardi Gras. And I never thought I'd ever have to speak on this because this is like a memory from my childhood. Before Katrina, I actually rode in the Zulu Parade. Full blackface, costume, and all that. I was a kid. I wasn't supposed to do that, but in real life, I'm 6'6". And even as a kid, I was still big. So I was able to get away and lie about my age. That was not supposed to happen, but it still happened. And that whole day from start to finish is one of my most fond memories. My family, my grandfather, God rest his soul, my father, and my uncle are all part of the Zulu Social Aid and Pleasure Club in New Orleans that was created for Black people. I was a junior Zulu. I've seen that club change the lives of people. I've seen that club help people out. I've seen that club connect people. I've seen that do a lot of positive for individuals and that city as a whole. Lord knows that city needed. So I'm saying this to say that back then and even now, this was never meant to be offensive or appropriate the culture of South African Zulu people. This was never the intention of that. The intention of that was to create a community for Black people in New Orleans, to give Black people in New Orleans a voice. So Black people in New Orleans can organize. And at bare minimum, it's meant really to venerate you, South African Zulu people, for your contributions to the world for producing Shaka Zulu. Again, I reiterate, at bare minimum, as an afterthought. Again, I've been looking at this and seeing all these different videos on both sides. I've watched people give history lessons. I've watched people give me the whole history of the Zulu people and everything. I've been reading the comments on both sides. I just think it's crazy that as a Black American, I'm always ever present of this rhetoric coming from the other brothers and sisters in the diaspora that we have a lack of culture. And the second we create something for ourselves in this country, by the way, which is very hard to do, it's always under scrutiny. It's always under a microscope. It's always under this. And we can never just be. We can never just be without these people or some of our own scrutinizing us and saying what we can and can't do or what's acceptable or appropriate and what's not. And it's real funny to me as a New Orleanian, because out of most of the Black folk in America, we the ones with some of the most culture. It's just funny, bro. I just wish we could all just be on the same page with some shit. And I don't know whether to blame it on tribalism, exclusionism, or white supremacy. And I'm not saying as, the people of South Africa shouldn't be offended. Feel how you feel. I'm not here to tell you how to feel. I'm just telling you what is. That being said, come on, bro. Y'all have a good day, man.
So, I'm tired. I'm tired of seeing this discourse between South Africa and Black Americans, because y'all are just finding out about the Zulu Parade here in New Orleans. The Zulu Parade was created in 1909 as a way for the Black people that lived here to, first of all, fight against the injustice of Mardi Gras parades happening and excluding Black people, but also to fight against the whitewashing of Black culture. And there were caricatures of Black people in blackface and red lips and all of this type of stuff on movies, minstrel shows. And the Black people during the time decided that we're going to do our own parade and we're going to be the blackest we could possibly be. And at the time, I imagine a lot of Black people knew about Shaka Zulu and what he did in Africa with the Zulu nation. A lot of Black people don't really have a lot of knowledge about Africa at this time the way we do now. So they knew of something that represented power and wanted to replicate that down here in New Orleans with having a Zulu parade. It is a mixture of our culture and how we perceive the Zulu nation's culture in Africa. It was a sign of not only respecting where we came from, but fighting against the erasure. So for South Africans now to be making ignorant videos, making fun of slavery or any other ignorant commentary, I just find it stupid. And I really didn't even want to engage in it, because if you would just look it up, Google it, then you can find out the history of it and what it means. Instead of like self-imposing that we are making fun of you when we are also Black, and probably a lot of us also come from the Bantu people of South Africa that the Zulu people come from. The fact that y'all are using this as a way to demean and degrade Black Americans, which seems to be a thing, it kind of feels like what white supremacy is about. That's exactly what white supremacy wants y'all to do. And I would just like for all of the African people, instead of, and I'm saying African because this happens in a lot of different countries in Africa, Ghana, Nigeria, South Africa, y'all might have misconceptions of us, and we may have misconceptions of y'all. That's fine. But I would love for y'all to clean up the white supremacy and colonialization in your own yard before you continue to come for us. Like y'all don't have white Jesus on all of y'all churches. Good day.
Real quick, don't fight me because I know how much I love to tussle, okay? Just hear me out. Hear me out. The African community that have not, like, they've been in Africa from jump, yes, they do have ties to certain tribes and certain cultural information we don't have, babe. That is their culture. Cool. Also understand different African community. As African Americans, we were quite literally the countries didn't exist yet. We're quite literally taken from a bunch of different tribes from all over Africa, mostly North Africa and West Africa. We know. but sorry, not sorry. They wasn't saying like, nah, you too far south. We're not gonna snatch and kidnap you and R-word you. No, if you were an African, they grabbed you and they took you. And again, they brought you to America and said, y'all speak the same language, split them up. They're from similar tribes. Their tribes don't like it. Yep, put them in the same. Cool. Now R-word the dad. We're gonna R-word the mom, and then we're gonna send him across the street. Make sure she never sees her child again. Like, these things were done to us, so we don't have that direct lineage to certain tribes, right? With that being said, again, as African Americans, it's typically a broad, I don't want to say blanketed, but almost like a broad overview of Africa, the continent. I know that I'm a descendant from there. I cannot tell you which country. Again, it did not exist yet. I cannot tell you which tribe. Again, they purposely put a bunch of people from a bunch of different tribes together, purposely mixed us up, purposely R-worded us, and then sent our children across the state, across the country. So yeah, there's context missing. There's context missing, period. For Black folks, African Americans, I can speak from my own experience, okay? My knowledge or information about the Zulu people, or for even Shaka Zulu the movie, right? That is kind of the information that we're getting in America. And so we think, wow, strong warriors, cool, fight the power, love that, because that's what we wanted over here, right? Especially at the time when we didn't have human rights. So we looking at Africa going, damn, those some strong, yeah, I love a warrior. Your girl right here is a warrior, period. Cool. But again, I think a lot of times we are thinking as Americans, oh yes, blanketed Africa. But again, we have to take into consideration, no babe, these are people who have direct lineage to those tribes, who are like, that is their direct culture. So we do have to make sure we're doing it respectfully. I understand that we just meant, oh no, Zulu Parade, yes, Africa. And I understand that a lot of times, dear African community, y'all don't like when we do a blanketed, oh yeah, Africa, because there are countries. Those countries did not exist when we were stolen, when we were kidnapped and R-worded and forced to no longer speak our language. And to those of you who are going off and all of the, oh yeah, y'all are slaves, you making fun of your cousins. All I'm saying is, if I had a little cousin who I knew was kidnapped, R-worded, tortured, beaten, when they did come back around and start trying to act like me, I wouldn't say, you're not my family. I would say, hey, baby, missing some context. I would say, hey, maybe don't do that. That could be seen as offensive. But I'm seeing a lot of condescending attitudes. Helps us solve nothing, helps you solve nothing. And then, sorry, not sorry, I also see a lot of xenophobia talking about some, oh my gosh, y'all were slaves. Babe, Europeans did that to everybody everywhere. That's global. Global. Let's not. Okay? Because we can go bar for bar on disrespect for disrespect, but how does that help the African community grow? How does that help the African American community grow? I think we've all seen it in the comments. We can get brutal. We can get crucial. For what reason? And I'm sorry. Because please comment about African Americans being slaves and get blocked real quick. I just don't have the energy or the time to discuss your ignorance on that note. Cool.
So let me get this straight. The people of South Africa are angry with the Zulu Parade in New Orleans doing Mardi Gras. And so now you have a bunch of people going back and forth about the culture of New Orleans. I done been told you a bunch of damn times, you have to gatekeep your culture. You have to stop sharing. You have to stop trying to explain your culture. Now you have a bunch of South African people that are angry at the traditions of our ancestors that were passed down out of their pain, their sorrow, their hurt, them wanting to be recognized as human in a time when that was not allowed. So our ancestors created something that they could feel proud of. And because we always got to share, I told y'all about being friendly. Now you got a whole bunch of New Orleanians on the internet debating back and forth because the Zulu nation in South Africa is upset with the Zulu Parade that we had during Mardi Gras. Listen to your TD. I'm never getting ready to explain. I'm never getting ready to give an explanation for anything that my ancestors had to go through or they had to endure. They did what they had to do to survive. If they had not survived, I wouldn't be here. And so all of their traditions and all of the things that they passed down are precious to me, because without them, there would be no me. And Zulu has taken offense because they don't value who we are as people. They don't value our culture because, of course, our culture was stolen from us. Our culture was a mix of Haitian, indigenous Indian to Louisiana, Spanish, French, African. And so we had to create new things to be able to survive and thrive. That's much like the indigenous Indian people getting mad at the Mardi Gras Indians. So you getting ready to sit on the internet and debate with someone who doesn't know your culture, who doesn't know you, who don't know anything about what our ancestors had to endure at the hands of those that sought to steal our ancestors' very souls from them. Change their names, change their dietary needs, change the very essence of who they were from all over. And you getting ready to try to explain the culture that was birthed to not only survive, but thrive. Now we apologize from the depths of our heart that the Zulu people of South Africa are offended. But it's much like an American person coming to your country and seeing your cultural amenities, the things that you do, the food that you eat, and insulting you for being Zulu. You're insulting the descendants of those that were enslaved and had to create a way out of no way. You are insulting the culture of our ancestors that were enslaved. The Zulu Pleasure and Social Aid and Pleasure Club was created because the Caucasian people didn't want us associating with them and what they were doing. So our ancestors, rising above the situation, created their own and gave birth to what you now see today. And there is nothing to be ashamed of. We're not making fun of you. We're not taking anything from your culture. It is time that you understand that our culture, all over the United States, is rich with the sacrifices of our ancestors who paid the price in blood. Unfortunately, our ancestors, before they walked through the door of no return and they got on that boat, they were captured. Now, maybe your ancestors weren't, but our ancestors were. And they were brought against their will to a place that they knew nothing about. And so they had to learn from other ancestral cultures, such as Haiti. In the 1700s, there was a strong migration of Haitian people to New Orleans, African people to New Orleans, French people to New Orleans, Spanish people to New Orleans. There was already indigenous Indians here in New Orleans. And the reason New Orleans is so beloved by the world is because we are a melting pot of culture that thrived in a state where we all had to rely on each other to survive. And no one is going to take that from us because you're upset. It doesn't matter how Zulu got started, but it's not what you think. It wasn't just a depiction of a minstrel show. It was a rebellion. It was a revolution. And it still is a revolution to show the world who we are and who our ancestors were. Through music, through food, through fun, through positive energy. And we apologize that our culture offends you. But as an 8th Ward diamond, we don't care. It's our culture. And this is why I keep telling y'all, we have to gatekeep. And we have to guard our culture as precious as it is. Because it's not for the world to understand who we are. It is just for us to be who we are. We don't have to explain anything to you. Because it's our culture, given to us, birthed by the pain, the struggles of our ancestors. We don't have to explain our tignons. We don't have to explain our gumbo. We don't have to explain, and we don't have to accept y'all trying to change our culture. Because it's exactly what it is. Ours. Whether you like it or not. Sorry, not sorry.
Now, if there's one thing we know, it's that both New Orleans and South Africa are bursting at the seams with rich cultural histories, irresistible rhythms, and some of the most delectable dishes on the planet. Who else is hungry already? But today, we're not just talking gumbo and biltong. Instead, we're zeroing in on a topic that's been making waves faster than a second-line parade in the French Quarter. Alright, before we get into the beef, or shall I say, crawfish of the matter, let's set the stage with a little background. The Zulu Social Aid and Pleasure Club has been a staple of Mardi Gras celebrations in New Orleans since 1909, known for their vibrant costumes, spirited music, and, yes, the iconic Zulu blackface paint, which is where the controversy kicks in. Yeah, we went there. Now, this tradition of wearing black makeup has been a point of contention, especially considering America's complex racial history. Black Americans have diverse perspectives on this, and, as we dive into the fun, but complex, world of the Zulu Parade, we're not just gonna spill the tea, we're brewing it strong. On the flip side of the globe, our friends in South Africa got wind of this tradition and were more than a little puzzled. With their own apartheid history and cultural nuances, the South African reaction ranges from shock to curiosity. Some can't help but ask, isn't that, kind of, self-contradictory? It's like when you hear someone loves pineapple on pizza, polarizing, right? So naturally, the responses from Black Americans are as diverse as they are thought-provoking. Some folks defend the tradition as a cherished cultural expression, while others call for reflection and reevaluation of what it symbolizes today. Here we have Ben from Brooklyn saying, Look, I get it, tradition is a big deal. But painting your face black? I mean, masks exist, people. Meanwhile, Sasha from Atlanta chimes in with, honestly, it's like when your aunt invites you for dinner and surprises you with prunes, it's tricky. Let's navigate this transcontinental conversation further by touching on resilience, a trait deeply entrenched in both communities. You see, at its heart, the Zulu Parade represents resilience and community spirit, originating as a space for empowerment during a time of segregation. And in South Africa, cultural resilience is celebrated through dance, music, and gatherings such as the vibrant Soweto Festival. Now imagine if we combined this energy from both sides. It's like Avengers Assemble but with cuisines, music, and all that jazz. So, what's the next step in this cultural dialogue? Being open-minded helps. Maybe swapping Mardi Gras masks for some Zulu shields or vice versa. And let's not forget, embracing our shared love for a great story and a fantastic party. Alright folks, that's our show. Remember, whether you're catching beads in New Orleans or grooving to the beat in Johannesburg, our greatest strength as people often comes from the heart and humor we share. Did you enjoy our culture clash conundrum? Leave your thoughts down in the comments. And while you're at it, give this video a like and subscribe for more globally groovy gossip. Until next time, stay curious, stay fabulous, and most importantly, stay kind.